So I called the police up into home. I was like, hey, there's a counterfeiting operation happening. Here's the address. They don't care. They don't care. Nobody cares. And with the CBP, it's like, I don't know that I drive that much attention or awareness to where people just don't care. And these people that steal my images and my name and everything, they just get taken down and it doesn't really affect them at all. There's no legal implementations. To me, it's like, how much money have I lost? I would be so scared doing this, right? How much money have I lost due to your listing? Like, you're liable to me for that revenue, but what am I going to do? Pay 20 grand to take them to court?
Tell us about what the cell phone seat is and maybe about the beginnings, how you got started.
Sure. So it's what, an idea, like you have them, right? Randomly, I'm driving in the neighborhood in my truck and I put my phone in my cup holder and my kid had some gooey squeeze pack stuff in there. And my new phone, I'm looking at like, oh, this is disgusting. Why doesn't somebody invent a better thing? And it's like the idea just pops in my head in full of what it is, which is this is the pink version, but here's the device here. I give this to people like, what do you think it is? They're like, I don't know. They always try to put it on. It's a medical device. It's like, no, it's simple. You flex these rings, you shove it into your cup holder, you drop your phone in there like that. Boom, you got a place to put your phone while you drive. And the best part about it is it doesn't block your cup holder. You still can put your drink in there, right? So
genius.
That's the reaction you get a lot. Matt's
because I was like, come on, yeah, like I drive an old Audi. I got like one cup holder. I need that.
Can't block your cup holder, man. You can't block your cup holder, right? And you're driving with your partner or whatever, and one person's drinks in there and a coffee and a water. It's like you block the cup holder. It's like, where am I supposed to put my drink? So idea pops in my head. I go home. I tell my wife I got an idea. She goes, no, you don't. I was like, yeah, I do. I'm gonna look into it. And I draw it in paint. Or I tried to buy it first. I looked for it. I was like, this has to exist. And it didn't exist. I drew it in Microsoft Paint. It's horrible, right? I still have that original drawing.
Sweet.
And I got online and tried to find like a 3D printer, 3D designer that could help me, get my cartoonish image into an actual product. I did find a kid at Grand Canyon. I probably shouldn't mention the university because he was like, I just did this for school and I have access to the 3D printing lab and, we can work on this together. So probably 2 years I worked with this student, right? Paying him as a contractor. And we got it to the point where we liked it. At that point, I think I just I tried to do like a Kickstarter or something at that point, right? And I kind of let it go. The Kickstarter failed, as most do, because you had to put
You didn't sell any, tell us about that real quick. I've heard a lot of our clients talk about Kickstarter. So why did it fail in your mind?
So it's funny. I'm working on this and I had a headache one night and I grabbed something out of the pantry and it was like Excedrin PM or no, it's just Excedrin or something. I didn't realize Excedrin has like 5,000 milligrams of caffeine in it.
Oh, yeah, no.
And I'm taking like 9:30 at night fast forward to 4 a.m. I'm going crazy on Kickstarter, building this amazing campaign. But the problem with Kickstarter is, you have to have a really good traction day one. So people hit the site.
You almost have to do like the pre-Kickstarter campaign, right?
You do. And that's what the ad companies do. They sell you on. They literally will run ads for your product just to get email addresses to announce when it goes live, because you want everyone that you've ever met in your life to literally land on that page the day it goes live and donate, give money or whatever. So everybody I've ever met, like I got my old Yahoo account from college and just like emptied out all the email addresses, emailed everybody, was like, hey, please, do this. And then I didn't get enough traction. And they want you to like run ads to really drive traffic to really get that. You really need to get a massive conversion that first day. And then it will promote it. And if it puts it on the front page of Kickstarter or promotes it with one of its emails, you potentially will do well. So I think I was trying to raise 10 grand. I think I raised like 3,500. So I kind of sat on it and didn't really do anything with it at that point. I don't remember if I did my early patent pending registration at that point. I'd have to look at the data, but I do remember that at one point I gave up on it and then COVID happened, right? So COVID, now we're all sitting around, we can't leave. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, I'm going to revisit that. So got with the kid again. We made some more revisions. I think at that point I did file a patent pending.
You file a design or a utility? Do you remember?
Design.
Okay.
I filed a design patent pending, not knowing what I'm doing, right? No attorney's help. Did like one of those websites where you can file these things and just kind of And I think I just went that way because it was the easiest and cheapest. You know, it was like, you can do a patent pending or you can do a full patent. I was like, well, I'll just do the patent pending because I don't know where this is going to go. You know, obviously my advice to inventors is, you know, talk to an attorney, but, you know, I'm a startup guy, entrepreneur guy. 99% of them have failed miserably. I've lost a lot of money. You know, luckily like 1 or 2 have actually made some money, but you know, don't put too much into something. Try, you know, baby step it, you know, because you never know what's going to take off, especially if you're an idea person. I've met people now that I do this. My taxi cab driver going to a conference to sell this in retail is like showing me his invention book, right? That he keeps with him. And he's like, show me the pages at a distance because he won't want to steal the ideas. He's like, oh, see, I have this. So revisit it, file the patent pending, and then actually got some money and built a tool, right? So if you guys don't know, the audience, what a tool is, that's what they call the big giant metal mold. You probably think of it more as a mold that they carve out your product inside of it. They put the mold together and they inject plastic into it and they split the mold apart and your product pops out. That's called a tool. I don't know why they call it that, but anyway, so I had a tool made. It's very expensive to make a tool. I had the first one made in China. It was $9,900. And I had
For
the
the
next
tool.
one made for the tool. Yeah. Plus,
All right.
once you get the tool, it's like 10 grand, right? Then it's like a couple bucks per unit, right?
But before you got to that point, you had to hire some level of engineering, right? To go from CAD to engineering drawing.
So no, I still was working.
You hired the kid.
The kid, I had the kid. I had an awesome Justin the kid, man. He was out there, boom, 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 from out in Phoenix at his college. So he got to the point where we were 3D printing them. And I was doing professional 3D prints. Or he would 3D print them in the lab and they would come back, okay, we were testing it. Like the first one was like this big. And he was embarrassed to send it to me. He's like, I don't want to send it to you. I'm embarrassed. I was like, dude, send it to me. I got to know if it works. I didn't even know if it worked. And he sent it to me, and sure enough, it was like 3 pieces because he couldn't print it all in one because it was so big, right? And I get it, and I put it's all, you know, janky, and I put it in my cup holder, and I put a drink in there, and I put my phone in there, and it worked. I was like, this concept works. So obviously we worked on it, got smaller and smaller, made changes, which took a while because I would make one little change, send it to him. 2 weeks later, in between midterms, you know, he would send me the revised 3D file, and then I would order professional print. So in the 3D printing world, there's whole levels of quality, right? You can't just buy a 3D printer and expect something to come out like this. Like I had some local 3D printer groups print it for me because they could do it quicker. And I picked it up off the sidewalk and it literally fell apart in my hand. So Shapeways was this awesome company. You could order about $80 a print and you could print in different colors and different materials. They're defunct now. They went out of business, but that's who we would order the prints from. And we'd test it and I would hand them out to people. And I finally got to the point where I really was happy with where it was. It pretty much looked like this without this tab. And that's when I got the tool in China. I happen to know a buddy who did stuff in China. He connected me with some people out there. I sent them the 3D file and they said 10 grand for the tool and like $3 a unit. And we'll make you some. You need to order an additional amount. And I was like, all right, well, I'll order 5 grand. And I bought the tool and it took a couple months and they shipped me the first unit, right? How exciting was that? I'm sitting there waiting in the mail. Here it is. My invention shows up. I go and test it. It works great. And I hand it out to people for fun. And I list it on Amazon and we actually start selling a little bit. And I'm like, okay, this has legs. And that's kind of was what I was doing. I was selling on Amazon a little bit. I had no idea what I was doing. And I went and talked to my old boss one day for lunch. And I said, hey, and I would hand these things out. So I'm having lunch with my old boss and I kind of give him one on a whim. And he goes, this thing is fantastic. I love it. What are we going to do with this? He's like, I want to invest in this. And I was like, okay. So he was like, I'll call you. He's like, I'm doing some things, but I'll call you and I want to invest in this. I was like, okay. I wasn't sure if he was serious. So literally he texts me on a Saturday. I'm sitting like in my room, like half asleep Saturday afternoon. And he's like, hey, I'm ready to meet and invest in your invention. He's like, I use it every day. I love it. I go, okay. I'm free like next Thursday or maybe Wednesday. He goes, today. And I jump up and I get dressed and I rush to this bar where he hangs out. And if you guys are in the investor world, there's always like a restaurant or bar in each town where like the angel investors all hang out, right? And like in Green Hills, it's called Nashville. And then in Brentwood, it's this place called Judge Beans. It is this dive barbecue. It's got real attractive bartenders, right? So you get all these kind of grumpy old men that have made a lot of money are in there drinking domestic beers and just talking about investment. So I meet him there and he's sitting at the table with a guy. And I'm have a bag of these things. And the guy at the table goes, well, what are you guys meeting about? And I was like, well, he wants to invest in my invention. And the guy goes, well, let me see it. and I pull one out of my bag and give it to the guy. I promise you, the guy looks at this. He looks at my old boss. He looks at me. He goes, I have this in my car. We were like, what? What are the chances? I've sold maybe 200.
Wow.
We go out, sure enough, he's got it in his car. He had gotten it.
We got 1,800 reviews on Amazon, Scott.
Yeah, I know. Well, this was way before that. So I was part of an entrepreneur group, and one of the group leaders bought 100 of them because we could print logos on them. So she did it as like a giveaway. And that dude got one of them. So that it was so serendipitous. My boss was like, I was going to write you like a $7,000 check. He was like, I'm writing you a $25,000 check. He was like, this is amazing. He was like, this is showing me that this thing has legs. So he wrote me the check. And with that money, we went to an attorney. We actually found an attorney. I was like, all right, I need to patent this. So what do I need to do? And he's like, well, you need a design patent. And maybe he's like, I don't think you can get a utility patent, but he'll do the research. I was like, well, give me whatever I can. I just need something that can say patented. Because that's the first thing when you're an inventor, everyone asks you, right? You know, you go on like Shark Tank or something. Like, is it patented? You know, give me something that can say yes. So he worked up this. He was like, well, you've already launched this and introduced it to the market. He was like, you're not going to be able to patent it. I was like, well, I did file this weird thing. I think it's a patent pending. And he goes, okay. And sure enough, that saved me. It was like a month before that.
There's a 1-year grace period. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I barely made that grace period. And he was like, oh, man, you made it. You barely made it. So he did the design patent. So as we take off more, we went after retail. That didn't work out. I went to a lot of these shows and conferences around the world trying to sell it. And we're still waiting on our design patent to go through. And then our design patent went through like that October, like a year later or so. And then somebody's like, you got to do TikTok. You got to do TikTok. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to do a social media platform. Please. I'm not dancing on TikTok. 6 months later, I swear I'm dancing on TikTok. I mean, so we went viral on TikTok. Yeah. Just as a joke, I was like, I'm not going to dance for you guys. Then I did a little dance. But we went real viral on TikTok. I mean, we got real lucky. We like 50 million views on some of our videos. I mean, we blew up TikTok. We were one of the first products on TikTok shop where you can buy actually from TikTok. And that blew up our Amazon account. I mean, we had a limit because we were a new shop of 200 units a day max. And we'd hit that by noon. So I don't know how much sales I lost because of that stupid limit. Because if that limit was off, we would have sold probably 600 units a day, which is like $10,000 a day. Wow. So it was awesome. We thought, oh my gosh, we've made it. And this went on for like 2 or 3 months. And then all of a sudden sales went to nothing. I was like, what happened?
How long ago was this? It's like 2023 or 2024? 2023.
So yeah. March, we got on TikTok shop. So November 2022 is when we actually started with TikTok. And I hired a girl that did a video. It's funny. I hired a marketing firm to help and they didn't do any of their promises. It went real bad, but it made me do it. So I got on Upwork and I hired like 5. They called them UGCs. I didn't know what a UGC was, but I was like, I need a UGC, right? Which now I know is, I can't even say the name. Somebody say it in the audience. What's a UGC? User-generated content, right? Okay. Which doesn't make sense to call somebody a UGC, but that's what they said. So I hired 5 UGC video creators. I was like, I'll give you $500. I want 5 TikTok reels promoting my product. I'll send you the product, right? And I had everyone, I picked a couple people. They accepted my offer, but one girl pushed back. One girl said, no, I want $1,000 and I'll give you 3 videos. And I was like, interesting. So I went on her account and sure enough, she had a couple videos with like 1 million views. And so I was like, all right, you get it. So it's funny. She made 3 videos. One video, the first video she did went super viral. And I used that same video and it's like not even great. Like the packaging's ripped in it. Her phone's all nasty, not even clean. Her car's not even clean. It's just kind of, but that's TikTok, right? It's real gritty. So her video went real. I ran that same video, dude. And it's like 15 seconds for years. I mean, years. I could run that video and it guaranteed to get like a 2 to 3 time return on ad spend. Every time I ran it, it was awesome. It's finally fatigue at this point. I can't run it anymore, but all right, so we went viral on TikTok. Sales took off. This happened around March. We went on the shop. I was doing live shows. You have to go live, which is just, I was like, what? I got to go live on TV. So I'm doing these hour-long live shows where I'm talking about the product, kind of like this. You know, you got to repeat yourself every 10 seconds because people drop off. So I'm like, this is it, blah, 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 blah. Hey, oh, yeah, comment. Oh, this is this, blah, 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 you know, for like an hour. And my wife's in the kitchen, like looking at me. She's like, how are you doing that? I was like, I need coffee. I can't. I'd be selling well on the show and my throat would get so dry. I was like, I got to go, guys. But so March, we really took off. April went crazy. I'm like, we've made it. I'm rich. I'm gonna be a billionaire. I mean, this is it. You know, I was like, this is it. I was like planning trips. I was canceling my other job clients. I was like, I don't really feel like doing that work anymore. May was just as great. June, something happened. The sales stopped, and I was kind of like, what happened? So I Googled our name, which I hadn't done in like 2 months. I Googled cell phone seat, 66 versions of it for sale on eBay. And I was like, what? I was like, well, that's not my product, is it? And then all of a sudden I saw it on Walmart, and then other Amazon sellers, Xingjing from China was selling it. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Counterfeit.
I was like,
counterfeit goods.
They're all counterfeit. They're all counterfeit.
So we all get from that one mold you sent those guys years ago.
No, great question. Great question. I know for sure, because I've ordered all the counterfeits I know, and they don't match our original mold. And I've talked to those guys. That mold is still sitting there, collecting dust. So I go online, and I was like, all right, I've got 66 counterfeits selling. And dude, they take your imagery. They take your name. They took everything. They took the video, the crappy video, right? That went crazy. They were using that. My wife's hands in all the pictures. And I'm like, you're the most famous hand model online right now, because the pictures are everywhere. So I found an attorney. I was like, eBay patent attorney or eBay counterfeit listing, where I found this guy, and I email him, and he goes, all right, I can take that listing. I can take a listing down on eBay. It's $1,000. Then I emailed him back. I was like, per listing. I was like, I've got 66. And he sends me this almost immediate reply that's like, I am not your attorney. I cannot help you. Do not contact me again. Okay. Like, it was like those, like, oh, I can't help this guy, so I'm going to legally make sure I use the right letter.
Conflict of interest, perhaps, something like that. Yeah.
Maybe. So I didn't know what to do, man. I'm pulling my hair out like all summer. I'm freaking out. We got counterfeits all over. Sales are dropping. We can't get into retail. Finally, I found a company out of London called Brand Shield that has software that scans listings all around the world and takes them down almost immediately. They took down all the eBay listings in like one hit. Brand Shield. They have a direct API connection to all these marketplaces, right? So they can take down websites. Dude, it was awesome. They took them all down. So it's like, once they establish your brand on the platform, then they just hit a button and it wipes out all the counterfeiters. Now, but then it just became whack-a-mole, and it's still whack-a-mole. Like, even today, I have 2 Chinese sellers that have hijacked my ASIN, my Amazon listing, and I can't get them off. And at this point, I have 2 design patents and a utility patent all registered. I've got 4 trademarks, and I've got, copyrights and all the imagery.
I'm going to show you your website. So real quick for our audience, what's the split in terms of your revenue versus your own site and Amazon?
Sure. Revenue, our website revenue margins are about 80%. Amazon, it's more like it's 50. It's right at like 50.
Well, this total revenue percentage.
It's split between the two. Do you sell more on Amazon or
the margins? Amazon's our biggest revenue right now. Amazon is our number 1 generator of revenue. TikTok has really slowed down. Maybe we'll sell like 2 a day on TikTok. Amazon, at one point on Amazon, we were selling 50 to 100 a day. It was awesome. I hired a guy that could, and we run an ad every 3 weeks on Motor Trend. But I hired a guy on Upwork, again, that was an Amazon optimizer. And, I was looking at the Amazon account. I had set it up years ago. I'd had some people go in there and fix some stuff, but it just didn't look good. And I had this guy go in there, and we went from selling 20 a day to selling like 60, which, guys, I mean, you're selling $30 a unit. I mean, that's a massive increase in revenue. So I got excited about Amazon. He optimized it really well, and it lasted about 3 months. And then again, the counterfeiters came in, man. And they're all out of China,
right? So it's still happening. This is still happening. You constantly have to kind of keep evolving it and
every day. Brand Shields. Like, when I run a commercial, we'll get another wave in. I can't get rid of AliExpress right now. The problem is, when people buy the crappy one, which is real cheap, thin plastic, it doesn't work really well. Then they go review my product on Amazon and give me a 1-star review. And they even show videos, and I'm telling Amazon, I'm like, that's the counterfeit. Like, that's not actually my problem.
Amazon doesn't even allow you as the brand owner to respond to them anymore.
They do not. I cannot respond to any reviews. I can only flag it, or I can send a ticket to Amazon saying, this review is fake. You have to take it down. It's not my real product. And they deny me every time.
Yeah.
So long-term solution might be finding a single source, if there is one at, back in China.
I know the source.
Lost.
I know the factory
in China. Right.
The factory.
So 1688 is a website. So you have Alibaba. So you have AliExpress, right, which is products sold direct to consumers, and typically they're counterfeit or just knockoffs or maybe just products coming out of China. Then you have Alibaba, which is where large bulk buyers go to buy in bulk directly from Chinese factories. So we found the majority of the counterfeit factories on Alibaba. And the cool thing is you can see how many they sold. But then I hired a girl in China on Upwork. And I was like, can you help me keep track? And then she says, oh, you're not looking at the right website. There's a sister to Alibaba called 1688. And it's all written in Chinese. So I can't even search it. And we found it. Like the one that was selling the most, I could not find the factory making it. There's two. There's one that's solid, but there's another factory that makes one that actually is two pieces. And you buy them and you put them together. I could not for like me find that one. 1688 found it. There's been over 300,000 counterfeits sold between 1688 and Alibaba out of China. And the problem is, it's a ton. It's a huge loss for me. Not that I would have sold that many because my price point is much higher, but problem is and I don't know this for sure, but I think this is how this system is working behind the scenes. You've got like one of those courses to get rich, and somebody sees one of these courses online, and the person says, all right, grab this software called Helium, look at the best-selling products on Amazon, then click on this link in Helium, which takes you to the Alibaba website and shows you how to buy the product from China. And then you relist it, and you can use their pictures and their images and things like that. And don't worry, you're not going to get in trouble. There's nothing they're going to be able to do, and sell it yourself. So sure enough, that's what I think is happening. Like a girl so here's actually the craziest story. A girl I went to high school with was selling a counterfeit on Poshmark.
One, I wouldn't think that this would be on Poshmark, but yeah, okay.
What's Poshmark? Prior, but what is this?
Poshmark is a website, buddy. It's tailored to women so they can sell their old clothes. It basically lets women create a closet that they sell clothes out of. But you're right. It's like, why is she selling cell phone seats? So I actually emailed her. I was like, hey, we went to high school together. I was like, hey, I saw this listing on your Poshmark. Is this the cell phone seat? And she said, yes, it is. Well, I didn't think anything yet. I'm building a case, right? I'm building this case. And so now I have her actually, what's the legal word I'm looking for, where she's incriminated herself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Willful, right. There you go. So willful. I ordered it. Sure enough, I filmed myself opening the box. This is the counterfeit. It doesn't say made in America on it. It doesn't say cell phone seat on it. I call the local police and I say, hey, I want you to go or serve this woman that's breaking the intellectual property laws. I looked, ChatGPT AI. I got this whole list of laws she was breaking, right? And the cop was like, she's just reselling a product that she bought from you. She can do that. I was like, she's not. It's a counterfeit. I promise. He's like, no, she's just reselling something she bought from you. I was like, dude, what do I need to do here? He's like, you can drive down. And she was in Memphis, so it was a 3-hour drive. So I literally almost drove to Memphis to like go into the sheriff's department or whatever and file a case against her. And then I thought about, contacting the news and because she's like an elementary school teacher and being like, because she was selling Reebok and stuff too. And I bet that was knockoff. And finally I just had a lot of anger pent up about it because I've lost so much. Again, flashback to me thinking I've made it. I'm a billionaire. And now it's like I'm struggling, right, to even make it because of these counterfeiters. But I just let it go. I think she's seen some get rich quick show and she's done this. And that's why I think a lot of these are popping up. I feel bad for the people that buy like 10 of these from AliExpress for $2 and then try to list them on eBay and we take them down the next day. Right now they're stuck with these 10 units. Dude, I had one guy using my imagery on TikTok and I took him down. And I get these apology emails too, which is great. I read these apology emails, but his was aggressive. He was like, I have the right to use these photos. The website I bought them for told me I did. And I was like, well, give me the website. And he gave me the website. It's just some counterfeit Chinese website that
Using your photos?
Using my products and using my imagery.
What about
your photos? I stole photos from those people who were stealing your photos.
I mean, Apple's in the news about this, where customs helps them, or the opposite, right? People they're infringing smaller hardware within like the O2 sensors, and they're stopping those watches at the border through customs. Have you looked into ITC proceedings and trying to get the customs agents to help you in this regard with your design patent, saying anything about this? How did that go?
I had a Chinese copyright made, which to my knowledge is basically the look and feel of it is copyrighted. So the manufacturers cannot make something that looks and feels like that. Almost kind of like a design patent. I could be totally off here. This was my attorney had told me. And supposedly with that, I could seize products at customs. I did look into going to the international court and filing for them and getting that capability, because then it was only, I had a problem where I could not get a listing off of Amazon. So one,
you can register your rights with CBP, right? The Border Patrol. Yep, you can order it with e-recordation. We don't represent clients, but that's something you can do on your own or with perhaps as an agent to help you. But they could issue an exclusion order on any products that are similar. Maybe an avenue for you.
I love it. All right, I'll do that, guys. I'll do that.
The address too, right? So
what's that?
You can just change the address too, but you might catch 100,000 coming through at once, and
that'd be awesome. That's actually a really good idea. It's funny. It's like I order these counterfeits because sometimes they make me order it just to prove that it's the counterfeit, and I get the shipping addresses, and a lot of times it's the same shipping address. It's in like Tahoma, Washington, right. and I can't find their number, but I can Google the address, and I called the number, and I got a hold of this girl, and I was like, "Hey, this is weird, but I'm getting counterfeit products from your address." She's like, "Oh, it's the guys next door." She was like, "They don't have a number, but I get called all the time." I was like, "Well, what do they do in there?" She's like, "I don't know, but all I see is boxes coming in and out of there." So I called the police up in Tahoma. I was like, "Hey, there's a counterfeiting operation happening. Here's the address." And they just don't, they don't care. They don't care. Nobody cares. And with the CBP, it's like, I don't know that I drive that much attention or awareness to where people just don't care. And these people that steal my images and my name and everything, they just get taken down, and it doesn't really affect them at all. There's no legal implementations. To me, it's like, how much money have I lost? I would be so scared doing this, right? How much money have I lost due to your listing? Like, you're liable to me for that revenue, but what am I going to do? Pay $20,000 to take them to court? And
yeah,
Oh,
be like
a built-in expense on your P&L almost. So, I mean, let's say, given that, would you be willing to offer? Are you still profitable with this invention, even though you've got to combat this ongoing infringers, copycatters?
So we've done over $2 million in sales in 3 years, and I took a very small salary. Otherwise, no, we have not been profitable due to just all the legal work, changing the imagery, registering things. A lot of that money, though, has been advertising, like putting money into ads,
it's expensive, isn't it?
It's expensive, and changing things for Amazon, changing packaging to like fit Amazon better, to work better. You're making like $1,000 a day at one point. You're like, well, I can spend $10,000 to redo the packaging, but then like 30 days later, you're making $100 a day, and you're like, oh no. It's really hard to plan. It's been really hard to plan with Amazon and the counterfeits. I really think we've created, through our viral videos on TikTok, this whole cup holder phone mount market on Amazon. Been crazy. So I registered the term. I registered cup holder, phone holder as a registered trademark. I'm waiting for that to go through. But Amazon, you can get brand registry for a pending trademark. So I was able to get registry on Amazon for that. And then I started taking down the Chinese counterfeiters that used that term in their title. I took down like 60 a day because Amazon gave me that mark. And finally, Amazon told me to stop doing that. I was like, yeah, come on, man. I was like, I'm finally getting a win here.
Yeah.
Stop doing that.
And if we talk all the time, Matt, is brand registry, right? That's what he just said. Is that what you're talking about? So authority. And it's sort of, a de facto, or, they don't even need to look at it. You've already got this basis.
Well, they still have to look at it. Brand registry only allows you to submit it to them. And again, like Matt was saying earlier, with the current trademark office, it's like, what if I got a 21-year-old, and not that there's anything wrong being 21, I'd love to be 21, but I've got a 21-year-old sitting in Seattle looking at my design patent, comparing it to the Chinese copyright, which, by the way, there's no question. It looks exactly like this, right? If the design patent's going to hold, it's going to be this thing. And the kid says, no, I don't see the match. And I'm like, well, pulling my hair out. So there's still no guarantee that you're going to get. They do have a program called Project Zero, which if you get Project Zero access, you can take down without asking, but they make it impossible to get Project Zero access. And I can tell you that in another episode, how they do that.
Do that. Let's have you back on talk about Project Zero. Scott, I want to thank you for your time. That story is extremely valuable for our listeners. I enjoyed it.